Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Sigh.
Aw, how long have you been working on that?
Actually, that just occurred to me. I didn't know how I was going to start this. I was like, oh, well, there it is.
Pretty clever, Clarice.
It was right in front of me the whole time.
I tell you what, man, I was still looking forward to this movie because I remember when I was a kid, well, not even like a kid, but younger, like maybe high school, when the Alec Guinness British miniseries would come on TV in Houston on Channel 39. It was a big deal. John Le Carre's Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spy, and Smiley's People. You know, the adventures of George Smiley, a real spy. Because I'm sick of all this. I mean, I'm not sick, but, you know, you get so much James Bond with the invisible car and even what's his name, Jason Bourne, doing all this kung fu and stuff. I'm like, I want to see something with real spies. Fuck this Spy Kids, that pisses me off. Real spies who are in there doing stuff.
Yeah.
It's not all glamorous.
Right on.
A lot of it is just intelligence and talking with people, having intense conversations. And after seeing this movie, I want to go back to the flying car.
Yeah.
You want Spy Kids back?
I'm not quite there,
Okay.
but it crossed my mind.
No, I get what you're saying. I mean, it's just the list of actors that this movie has. You know, I was like, okay, I am dying
Yes.
to see this movie, just to see all these great actors, every goddamn British actor you can imagine in one
Everyone
movie,
that wasn't in a
and
Harry
acting
Potter
their
movie.
ass off. Yeah, acting their ass off in a spy film. How can this go wrong? And wow, yeah,
It's odd to me. You got Gary Oldman, Colin Firth, Tom Hardy, Mark Strong. How do you say his name?
I know Syrian
Hines, Benedict Cumberbatch, the most British guy who's ever lived. Toby Jones,
John Hurt.
There's so
Oliver
many
Twist.
There's so many great British people in this. So many great British actors based on something that. All right, so first off, it was like at the top of the like box office in England for like 3 weeks.
Right,
huge success. It was 98% on Rotten Tomatoes before it came to America. It's based on one of the most popular spy series of all time.
Right.
There was like 2 previous versions that were filmed of it that were both huge successes. How could it go wrong? Well, you film it with totally devoid of any sort of emotion or feeling
whatsoever. I mean, yeah, you know, it seems like British people have gotten away from that stereotype of being so very stiff upper lip. But not in this movie.
Oh, no,
it sets them back 40 years.
So goddamn regal. And I was like, this is the first movie where I felt like, am I just stupid? Am I like just too stupid to enjoy this movie? Because as much as I'm trying to really, you know, go along for the ride and get involved in the whole mystery of the spy, the thing that's going on in this film, I was like, wow, I feel like I need to like have a notebook in front of me to write all these names down, make sure I know exactly what all these people are doing, how they pertain to the plot. And I felt like I had to like go back to school to take a class on how to watch this film.
And it's funny, even some people I know who did like this film, and a lot of people still did. Keep in mind that, like, I'm not sure if we're the minority or not. I don't know, but I know some people who did love this who said, "No, I admit it is very hard to follow." I was like, "Well, then what?"
Yeah, you know, the thing is, I saw somebody give it like a really high rating. I wish I could remember the goddamn critic's name, but the person was just like, you know, I watched it twice. I still don't know what it's about, but it's a great goddamn film.
But that's the thing is, if it was like dripping with style, or if it like you know had like some unique take on showing this type of film, which I suppose it does. It does it like a British television series from the 70s.
Yeah,
you know, which I guess is like, all right, well, I guess that's appropriate for the story, but. It's just not entertaining to watch. I mean, if you don't understand even really clear on what's exactly going on in the plot, then what is the other thing? I mean, all the actors, there's like one guy who has a facial expression at one point. Everyone else, they just look like the internet smiley with like 2 dots and a dash. It's just it's not a
George Smiley.
Yeah, a non-emotion. Just like, it's like George Lucas directed this.
Well, and like everyone's wearing Michael Myers masks.
I mean,
there you go.
I mean, as far as style, I will give it points on how well it captures that period of time. It's trying to be like that early 70s. You know, you see those guys in those old ass suits and everything has that look.
The cars and everything.
Yeah,
I mean,
everybody's got
they
patches
got
on their jacket.
But the thing is, it doesn't even feel like real spies. It feels like a bunch of gossipy men who are all gossiping about who they think did it, back and forth, just talking shit about each other, and a bunch of empty threats, and yet. You know, like Tom Hardy pops up. Oh, cool, Tom Hardy's in this. It's like you got Bane and Commissioner Gordon.
Fuck yeah.
And yet it doesn't. No. Every time you want to get excited about something, it just lets you down. And by the end, when they reveal who the mole is, you're kind of like, if you say so, I don't see what clues added up to that at all.
We had a screener of this, right?
Yeah.
I had to rewind it like twice to really like understand like, wow, these characters aren't really acting like it's a big deal.
Right.
It's like, okay, whatever. There he is.
But,
So what?
well, perhaps we should have tea first.
Yeah.
Well, it felt less like a spy organization and more like people who work in an office.
Yeah.
Who heard like, okay, a stapler got stolen, and they're just gossiping, trying to figure out who stole the stapler.
In a sort of way that they don't even really care, too.
Right.
Like they're like not even. Well, I guess that would be funny if it was that guy.
The thing is, the most
I gotta get
action,
back to work.
The most action you can possibly get out of some of these scenes, are two people sitting in a living room having discussion. It reminds me of having to sit and hang out with my friend in his living room while his mom bombards him with a bunch of questions to where he doesn't want to be there.
Right.
He doesn't know why he's asking, but you're in that goddamn living room for a good 15 minutes and you're like, wow, this is like torture. This is killing me.
So let's talk real quick about what the actual plot is here.
Good luck with that.
Well, I know.
Now we can
Have fun
find out
with
for the
that,
first time.
Cyrus.
Well, I just gotta warn you, I'm not going to go very far into this because I don't even know what would be considered a spoiler and what's not.
Right.
I mean, to be fair, on some level, there's constantly something happening. You're just not clear exactly what it is because it's mainly people talking about other people who aren't there at
Right.
the time about stuff that they did that we didn't see. So anyway, it takes place in 1973. It basically centers around British intelligence called the Circus. Apparently, I don't know if it was or that's a conceit of the book.
That's true.
But at the beginning, you're like, oh, this is cool. It starts off with Mark Strong, and he's hooked up to waiting for a contact to show up.
Yeah.
And it erupts into this gunfight where like the whole thing was a setup, and he gets shot in the back and presumably killed. You're like, whoa, this thing is badass.
Yeah.
Where is this going? Well, let's talk about it for 2 hours.
He's so right.
And that's pretty much it. That's the movie. He nailed it.
And then you see basically a consortium of tired-looking British men who run at the top of this degree of this section of British intelligence, who are discussing this whole situation. And we mainly follow Gary Oldman, who is a guy who is right on the edge of retirement, mainly because he's just, I guess, too bored to keep doing it anymore.
Well, I thought he
really.
was retired. He was retired.
Yeah,
They
he
just
was.
pulled
And
him
they
back in.
pulled him back.
He just retired. Yeah.
He's like, I used to be a spy, but I got tired of nothing happening.
Exactly. So he gets asked to investigate basically what's going on with this, because it turns out it looks like this guy was shot because indeed there has to be a mole, and a very high placed mole inside of the agency, which is pretty clear right from the beginning. They're saying it's one of the people who was in that office, one of these high ranking officers. So you've got a series of very good actors to choose from. Naturally I assumed it would be Toby Jones because come on.
He's always playing
He's
villains.
Toby Jones.
Yeah.
Look at him.
True.
But
It's like a bad guy to me.
I'm not saying he's not. I'm just saying, it seemed like a gimme. And so it's a slow moving piece as Gary Oldman is doing quiet interviews with a series of people who I guess knew him and had some connection to what was going on, and then something to do with his ex-wife and her having an affair with someone that are all, like I said, totally emotionless. Like, oh, I guess maybe she had sex with someone else.
You know that
Isn't it tea time?
Remember that loud, out of control, Nicolas Cage-like Gary Oldman from Leon the Professional?
Yeah.
This guy's the complete opposite of that. Matter of fact, Gary Oldman in this, you wouldn't even recognize was the same actor.
Oh, no.
Just by how much he just sits around
plays